This WBTV high-definition program is sponsored by Time Warner Cable. WBTV News at 6 starts right now.
First at 6 o'clock, school kids put in danger on the way to class. A potentially dangerous drunk with a rap sheet climbs aboard a CMS school bus. And the question tonight, how in the world does that happen? Thanks for joining us. I'm Tanya Bendixson.
I'm Paul Cameron. Welcome, everyone. Police say a drunk guy climbed aboard a bus bound for Mint Hill Middle School this morning. This happened at the bus stop at Margaret Wallace Road and Glen Lyons in Matthews. The kids were not hurt, but think about this. Intoxicated at 8 in the morning, so sloshed before sunup that he had to go to the hospital before he could go to jail. While he may be a drunk, this guy certainly no Otis Campbell. He's 20-year-old Isaac Vasquez. Just 3 months ago, he was arrested for allegedly beating up a little kid. Not a savory character. WBTV's Dedrick Russell on your side live at that bus stop. So, Dedrick, how does a guy like this get on a CMS bus?
Well, very simple, Paul. Police say he opened up the school bus's unlocked emergency door just like this. It was as easy as opening up our back door to our live truck. Now, you can imagine it was a very scary time this morning as a man with a history of bad behavior came face to face with about 30 kids. It was a normal drop-off, but a frantic pickup. Just ask Michael Geyer.
Whenever he got off the bus, he was actually trying to reach for, the police's gun.
Parent Patricia Campos says she saw what happened when the stranger got caught.
He was just screaming, like a crazy guy.
Things could have been more out of control if Tim Smith was not there.
He come from down this street.
Smith says he called police immediately once he saw a strange acting man stumbling, coming toward the bus stop full of kids.
And as he climbed on, I walked around the bus driver and the students. They were hysterical at that point. And I let them know that I had the police on the line.
Then
I entered the bus and I went back and calmed the children down and got him to the back of the bus. And as we sat back there and I was trying to get him off, he sort of refused, and I didn't want to make a scene. So finally did get him off.
He says by that time police arrived.
He was highly intoxicated. One of the officers said they felt like he was on something else.
We asked police why Vasquez got on the bus.
He had made the statement that he was looking for his nephew, that he thought maybe had been on the bus. We're not even sure if that's, if he's even got a nephew.
While Vasquez awaits his court date, Smith is just glad he stuck around at the bus stop this morning to help. You see, his daughter's bus had already left.
I think God placed me at the right place at the right time.
Now, CMS tells me that it is not unusual for school bus emergency doors to be unlocked. It says for safety reasons, it has to stay that way just in case emergency crews need to open up those doors at any time. Now, by the way, police tell me that Vasquez, he does live in this neighborhood and he will be charged with underage drinking to trespassing. And by the way, CMS says that now Vasquez will be banned from all CMS properties. Live in Matthews tonight, Dedrick Russell, WBTV, on your side.
Dedrick, I think Mr. Smith deserves a medal for his calm, cool reaction to the situation, handling that. Thank you. A Connect Ed message went out to parents today. Thankfully, nobody hurt. And this is not the first time we've seen something like this. Almost 2 years ago to the day, local radio personality Cubby Squires got on a bus full of kids as a prank. Really made a lot of parents very angry. That bus driver was fired and the charges against Cubby were dropped.
And Paul, the alleged drunk driver accused of causing the crash that killed a Gaston County teen will spend at least 3 years in prison. A judge just sentenced Howard Paysauer for violating his probation. Paysauer's been drunk behind the wheel before. The crash that killed Laura Fortenberry resulted in his 4th DWI arrest. He's facing murder charges for that crash. No trial date has been set.
Dozens of North Carolina's most violent criminals will not be released early from their life sentences. The state Supreme Court refused to set free convicted killers Alfred Jones and Faye Brown. You remember, this controversy goes back more than 8 months. If the judges had ruled in their favor, more than 24 violent criminals could have been turned loose. Their life sentences were defined as only 80 years long under an old law. And they argued that good behavior credits had shortened their sentences to completion.
1 week down and not a single juror seated in the Demetrius Montgomery trial. The selection process stalled today when the judge sent everybody home almost as soon as court began. Said both sides needed more time to investigate something. But right now, no one is saying just what that something is. It is the latest twist in an already bizarre case. WBTV's Steve Crump live now at the courthouse. And Steve, this week really, in this case, full of surprises.
Absolutely. You talk about bizarre. The last few days been anything but normal here, and today was no exception. And what happened behind the scenes, well, you put it, anyone's guess, but it was enough to shut everything down. Before the third day of jury selection could ever begin, Judge Forrest Bridges met behind closed doors with prosecution and defense attorneys over a matter that's still undisclosed. Rather than resume the proceedings, the judge sent everyone home and instructed them to return on Monday. So what does this twist do to the Montgomery trial? The state seems to be split. Lead prosecutor Marcia Goodenow isn't sure what the next step will be. Marcia, will we proceed on Monday as scheduled?
Do not know.
No comment. Practically every day this week has had a share of drama, from Demetrius Montgomery refusing to come to court to choosing to wear a jumpsuit and shackles rather than appear in civilian clothes. And let's not forget about the judge's bombshell decision to take the death penalty off the table after it was learned that former Detective Arvin Fant threw out some of his handwritten notes connected to the investigation.
There seems to be some new information. Nobody knows what it is.
Defense attorney James Exum, who represented one of Ray Caruth's co-defendants, isn't surprised with the latest turn.
It's a pure theater so far, but again, the bottom line is that the defendant has an opportunity to have a fair trial, the state has an opportunity to have a fair trial, and it appears that the judge is doing everything he can to ensure that at this point.
And moving forward is what Glenn Cole of the prosecution team expects, despite the earlier words of his colleague, Marcia Goodenow.
We'll be starting back on Monday. Thank you.
And quite obviously, we'll see what happens this coming Monday morning. I asked one courtroom observer, do you call it a cliffhanger just yet? I was basically told you could say it is a weekend of suspense. Live tonight from the Mecklenburg County Courthouse, Steve Crump, WBTV, on your side.
Yeah, theater for sure. Steve, thank you. Before the proceedings begin on Monday, Judge Bridges is expected to announce what this new investigation is all about.
Next at 6 o'clock, the legend of the Boston Ridge Ghost Train. It's a spine-tingler more than 100 years old. Now more death on those tracks. A man killed by a real train while waiting for a ghost to appear.
And I'm meteorologist Eric Thomas. One major hurricane in progress right now over the Atlantic, and another one likely. We'll talk about the threat to the east coast of the United States and, of course, your weekend First Alert forecast. Stay tuned.